All right, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Irish Iron. Today I have a junior competitor, ex-junior competitor now, Mark Hodson. Me and Mark go back, oh God, about 3 years now at this point. Yeah, 3 years. We competed when we were both, it was my last year as junior. And I got bet by both times by himself, second and third both times. And yeah, how are you doing in the lockdown, Mark? Any how we doing?
I'm on the same as everybody else, just kind of taking it one day at a time.
Yeah.
Everyone's in the same position, you know what I mean? Hopefully things will start to clear up soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of staying productive and keeping busy until everything blows over.
Do you still have access to a gym nearby or something to train in? Or?
Look, luckily, yeah, I'm still able to train at the moment, so I'm blessed that way. But yeah, unfortunately, I am. Yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean, like for 90% of the population, it's definitely a case of what I've been telling people is unless you are able, like at our level anyway, unless you're able to access some form of training or resistance training, be it the bare minimum of a bench, and I'd even say 140 kilos of weight, you're not really going to be growing. So I was like, look, if you've held muscle for a long time, which we have, and then just clean everything up a little bit, maintain a bit of cardio, you'll hold on to most of the muscle for a good few months anyway.
Yeah, once you're still eating right, and I suppose once you're stimulating it in some way,
yeah,
you know what I mean, you will maintain kind of the base of what you have.
Yeah.
And man, most people could do it to break away from training. You know what I mean? A month isn't going to harm a lot of people, because when they get back, they're going to be like beginners. You know what I mean? Their body's going to be fresh, ready to respond. So
I think like I have a feeling as well they're going to shut down. I don't think the October shows will go ahead just based on prep time for some people. I don't think it'll be a case of will they be allowed. I'm sure things will be up and running, but unless the gym's open to the public within the next 2 months, like that's not really enough time for people to get ready for the. Well, it is, but it wouldn't be as
long. I can't see any shows that before Christmas anyway this year.
Oh, I'd say spring will be packed up. I mean, I had a few clients. I know you had a few clients. You had the one I was paying attention to was Angelo. He looked very good until show got canceled. And I know he was a bit heartbroken. And then he said he wasn't going to do it again. And I was like, you know what? I fully understand his side of it too.
Yeah.
What like as a junior, because I stopped 3 years ago. I hopped into the open. But when we competed, your first, we'll go back to your first show. You won the Spring Nationals, was it, in your first show?
The Spring Classic in 2016.
Deadly.
That was my first one. So April 2016, that was my first show. Done the junior class. I think I was 19. I think I was just turned 20 the week before.
Oh shit! Yeah. Young, yeah.
And then I won the first show.
Who were you against? Is there anyone who was competing with us in it?
Yeah, there was a couple of good guys in it. There was Anthony McCarthy.
Oh yeah.
Anthony McCarthy.
I know.
Ian Keown, is that his name? I think he's from Waterford or something.
Okay.
He was really good.
Yeah.
So there's Aaron Walsh as well.
Yes.
Ben Davidson or something, I think his name was. There was a few.
Yeah.
I saw Paul Kiernan as well. There was a few good guys.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, it's like you're like you may echo my sentiments with this. Now, when I competed when I was 18, there was 4 call-outs in the class. There was 20 something juniors at both shows, and NABBA was under 21s then as well. So it was still, this is back in 2013. So there was 20 something. I think the oldest guys were 21. I was 18. And then the next week,
big class.
It was a big class, but then it was under 23. So you had ironically, the guys who won it, all the top 2 guys, all the top 3 guys, bar Kevin Byrne, are gone. Shane came 4th. He wasn't even a top 3 junior that year. And then he went on to be pro. But I think when we competed, there was a good few. There was like 12 of us. There was a good few of us.
It was a good class, yeah. Yeah, it was a good class. There was in NABBA, it was a good class, and then in the RIBBF, there wasn't many. There were a few dropped off.
I think Jesse Moran was meant to do it with us. I have him on Wednesday. And then he stepped away. Did you never competed with Jesse, did you?
No, Jesse Moran, no. Hang on a second. You think he was the year before me?
Yeah.
He was been competing, and then when I was competing, he stopped, I think.
Okay, because I know he came 2nd. He wasn't too happy, and then he stepped away and did powerlift.
I think I was actually at that show.
Okay.
Watching it. Yeah.
Was it Christian who won that year in 2015, or was that the?
I think it was Jay Robinson, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
At NABBA.
Yeah. Oh, that was NABBA. Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
I think the show I was watching, the first show I ever went to was NABBA 2015.
Okay.
And Christian actually went into, I think the week before he had won. I think the week before he had won the juniors at RBBF.
Yeah.
And then he jumped into one of the classes then.
Yeah.
But the juniors, I think, was I think the top 3 was Jay Robinson. Maybe it wasn't Jesse actually. I think it was Jay Robinson, Cav Byrne, and I think Jesse came 4th. There was another foreign guy, big guy. I forgot. I don't know his name. Actually, he was very good.
Yeah. Do you feel though, like with the juniors, like I don't think the standards well, I'm gonna phrase this very carefully. This is just my opinion on it. When I competed, I knew the only way I was getting bet was condition, which is exactly what happened. Because everyone who was ahead of me, including yourself, Colin was out of his mind, peeled. You were peeled. But then I found like you won last year. It was like, I remember watching the video of you. You were all emotional and teared up and everything about it. But was it bittersweet for you? Because I knew, as a competitor, as the man you are, you're very competitive. You want everyone to be at their best. I personally didn't think those guys were at their best. I'm friends with them, but they didn't bring it. You bought it. So I was thinking in my head, like, would Mark be happy with the win, knowing that these guys weren't at their A game? Like, what?
Like the guys were good, you know what I mean? But regardless of who was there, I still wouldn't be happy in any way, because fair enough, you're happy after the show, you've won, whatever. But that's in the past then. You know, a week later, that's done, that's finished. You know, no one remembers that. It's over. And all you just think of the next show then.
Yeah.
So fair enough, you won, big deal. It doesn't really mean much, to be honest, because you just look back and just kind of look at your flaws and then work on them to improve for the next time. Does that make sense? So yeah, it's like, yeah, you're happy when it happens. Regardless of who was there, you're happy to get. You can only be what's in front of you. I was happy to get the win, and the guys were good. It was a Michael St. Ledger, I think, from Cork.
You look good,
it
man.
Was Joey.
I saw him before.
Joey as well.
Yeah.
Kai McGrath. There were a few good guys.
Yeah, my only issue with Kai at NABBA, I've never seen someone around our age group with shoulders like that. And I'm kind of like, if I'm spotting that, and then I remember Locke and Tommy, because Kai didn't place in NABBA, my Dan Lenihan won it.
Oh yeah.
He was just peeled. He was outweighed by a lot. But I remember he decided the week before, so I wasn't, he just went in and won it. But I remember like Tommy and Locke were talking to Kai, and I felt bad for the guy because they were going on about his shoulders. Now, obviously, I'm not going to call it like spade's a spade. Like if a body part looks funky, you're going to be marked down on it. But I mean, at least I know when I was that age as a junior, I wasn't even thinking about certain things like that. I mean, I was so focused on just getting the basics done, and it paid off. I mean, you know, kind of. But I'm just thinking, do you think like I think there's less competitors in the class. So I think overall, I do think it's becoming diluted. I don't think there's enough guys pushing each other. That's my own take.
Yeah,
So
compared to, like you said, compared to a few years ago, like you said, when there was what 23 in your class or something.
yeah,
Yeah, there's not now. In saying that, the I've the biggest show I was in, I think there was 25 competitors.
okay.
That was over at Bodypower. So they were big classes, you know what I mean? So I think it's only kind of in Ireland, maybe it's like there's still quality there, but just the quantity isn't anymore. There's nowhere near as many competitors as a few years ago.
Yeah.
I
Like I
think you would
mean,
agree with that as well.
no, I'd agree with you 100%. Like I think by her process of elimination, like the good guys are always going to win it. But the problem is the good guys will only look so good when they own like you're always going to respect like a competitor who, let's say there's a class of 8, okay? I mean, at least you have some comparison then. So it's not just the best guy, the best top 2, and then the rest. You would have enough competitors that you could make accurate comparisons.
Yeah,
Now, like, I mean, at least in Raw, I mean, there's a lot of juniors competitors. Like, they're just not doing junior bodybuilding. They're all doing they're doing physique or classic. And I'm like, would you not step your foot into the realm of junior level bodybuilding?
yeah.
Give it a go.
I To be honest, man, I just leave people to do what they're doing. I
Yeah,
don't really focus on what people are doing too much. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I find if I just worry about what other people are doing, it takes away from what I'm focused on myself.
yeah.
Get me? So I'd rather just kind of ignore everyone else and just do what I like, set out for the goals that I want. You get me? I don't really mind what other people are, what classes they're doing or what shows they're doing or anything. Does that make sense?
100%. I mean, I see. I was the opposite for so long. I was the opposite for years. I would be focused on what other people thought, and it led me to slack a little bit. Like I've no shame in saying that. And I got my ass whooped at the end then when I hopped into the open. So um, at the end of the day, I think like guys like yourself and the young guys who do focus on themselves, and no matter what class, they're going to bring quality into it.
Yeah.
Cream will always rise. Like I'm sure you know a good few people who competed with yourself. They stepped away from the game, be it health, emotions, or mental health, or whatever. I think there's like 20% of the guys would be 80%
Yeah.
gone, man. It's
To be
crazy.
honest, like since I started, like every year I hear people always say to me like I wonder when he's gonna drop off. I wonder like, you know, when he's like it's only a short term thing. Like he won't be here in a year or two. And
Yeah,
like I've heard it every year. I've heard it, and I continue to hear it. And I'm not going anywhere.
yeah.
I love this. You know what I mean? It's I yeah. A lot of people do drop off, and because most people do, everyone expects everyone else to drop off. But like you said, like the ones who kind of love it will always be there.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Did you have many clients getting ready for the shows? Like for people
Uh,
listening, Mark's a full time now at this point.
Personal
Yeah,
trainer,
full-time
yeah,
personal trainer out
and
of
online I do online coaching as well.
Deadly. Yeah.
I had 5 getting ready for spring,
Okay.
which was huge. I was really looking forward to that. Obviously,
Was
because I wasn't competing this year myself as well. So, I was really looking forward to kind of that was like that was my focus. So I was looking forward to it, but unfortunately, obviously, it about the plan.
Yeah. Did you have like what classes were they doing? Was it all over the place, or was it?
Yeah, there's a few. There was men's physique, juniors. Then I had a guy who was going to do classic. So I had more men's physique as well. So there was a few. I didn't have any like big bodybuilders, you know what I mean, like in the open heavyweight classes or anything. But
No, that's cool, man. No, I had one junior getting ready for October, and I was so excited because I was like, "We're gonna get you absolutely peeled and just like blow people away with condition." He was like worried about being not having size, and I was like, "It's junior bodybuilding. Like, if you come
yeah,
in condition, you'll place respectively anyway. Unless like someone like Giovanni comes along, which there isn't. Well, there
yeah,
might actually there's Wally, but
yeah. Wally's yeah. Me and Wally are good friends. He's crazy,
yeah,
crazy.
I'm like,
I
forget
don't
it.
think people realize like what he's like until like they actually see him in person, or like, if people
Train,
can actually like if people can witness him training. Like I've been lucky enough to be his training partner for a long time, and if people could witness it, man, it's something special to watch. Yeah,
I laugh because I remember I trained with him, and it was me and Aaron, um, Aaron O'Neill, Cuba, wherever he's gone off to these days. I think he's on
yeah,
leave. But I remember we trained with him, and like we'd be in and out 45 minutes to an hour, like relatively high, like high intensity. I wouldn't be a volume guy at all. Not for back. I've always found hitting back, just get the angles in and hit it hard. And he was in
yeah.
there on 4 plates, like going up the reps as the weight goes up. And I was like, okay, this guy has like just those genetics.
I'll tell you a funny story. Yeah,
Yeah.
he the first time I trained with him was, I think it was in animal barbell. The first time, right, we trained push, so it was chest dominant, and we trained, and his volume just wants to keep going, keep going, keep going. And I did train at the time kind of low volume,
Mm.
and I was like, look, if someone tells me like do this set, I'm not going to say no.
No, of
You know what I
course.
mean? There's not a chance. If someone tells me to do something, I'm doing it. So he just kept on throwing weight on and doing sets, and I was like, right, let's go. We just do it. When I woke up the next morning, I'd never felt DOMs like it in my life in my chest. I was so sore. And then we were training legs or something the next day, and he came in. He was like, man, I'm so sore. He was like, really? He was like, I could train chest again today. His recovery is ridiculous. He could just do so much volume, so much weight, and he just recovers so fast. Genetics are ridiculous.
He's made for doing what he's doing,
Mate,
and
he's
he's
born
not
for it.
natural too, as
Yeah.
far as there, which is crazy. And I'd believe it. I'd
I
believe
know,
it
I know he is. Yeah, yeah,
based on like I've had friends, like I'm not gonna name them, but I had one friend who was so like he was saying, "Oh, I have proof," and I was like, "What proof?" Like I know Wally firsthand. I've seen how he trains.
yeah.
He's
But
purely he's instinctive.
that that goes back to it as well. Like, who fucking cares what other people are doing?
Yeah,
You get me? Just I don't understand why people would be so focused on if he is or not. Just
yeah.
leave him to do what he's doing. Focus on yourself.
What I found, it's not the bodybuilders who tend to say it. It would always be the friends of. So I have a few training partners. They wouldn't be competitors. So they would always ask. They'd be more curious, whereas you and me wouldn't pay it any heed. I mean,
True.
I
Yeah.
less what people do or take or train like, unless I'm friends with them and training with them. People can do what they want, but it's always the outsiders who don't understand.
Yeah.
They
Yeah. True.
they always assume, and I get it. I 100% get it. I mean, when I was 15, getting into the sport, I didn't have a clue what it was. I mean, my parents used to think I was taking speed going to the gym because I was so energetic. But it's like, it's outsiders don't get it. So,
I
like,
think they think that, like, obviously at that age when they're looking in from the outside, they think like it's all that. You know what I mean? They think that's what it is, and they couldn't be further wrong. And I think when they get into it, then they realise that. You know what I mean? That it's not the case.
No, I think it's like if you're going to do well in it, like I found training with guys who are either genetically better than me. I've actually found training with them doesn't really pay me any heed. Just based like this is a complete. This doesn't count a few people, but I've trained with some very genetically superior guys, and it's not
Yeah,
that bad training because to get where they've gotten, it hasn't really been um a struggle physically for them. But when I've trained with people like yourself or people who have put the graft in, like Connor McGee or oh God, who was it I trained with? Tommy. Tommy ruined me for a week
yeah,
with training. So I'm like, you know, I'd rather train with people who I've had to work in some form to get to where they are, even if they don't
yeah.
have the physique. Like, doesn't matter. I mean, some of the guys at the bottom end of the scale are the ones who train very hard. They just don't respond.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, man. Like I know I've below average genetics, and you know, I I always use this example. Say like I would put like 110% into this, like into every aspect of it, and like there's guys who would put maybe 40, 50% in, and they're still going to be better than me. And
yeah,
it's just the way it is. Like I can't do anything about that, but that's not going to stop me from pushing on for my love of it. You
yeah.
get me? I know that I don't have the genetics. I'm not going to reach their level. But again, it comes back to I don't care. I just care about what I'm doing and kind of my love for it and where I'm going. Does that make sense? Like
100%.
for someone with poor genetics like myself, like it's just a long game. It's consistency. Like it's 10, 15 years. Just patience, patience, patience. You get
Yeah.
me? And I think when you learn that from a young age, it becomes a lot easier
Yeah.
because you're not kind of chasing like I have to. You see, like people nowadays want to turn pro within a year. You know what I mean?
It
Just
doesn't,
play the long game and be patient.
doesn't it doesn't make sense to me because I was talking to Vinny, I was talking to Christian, and I was talking to a few guys who've won the national titles and turned pro. And I remember I said to Vinny, because he showed me he was pro back in 2013. He had the email. And I remember he said like the only reason he got it, he I respect Vinny so much based on the fact that he worked up gradually. So he, at the
Yeah,
end of the physique that got him top 7 in pro shows. Like, I find it quite. I feel don't feel bad for Vinny at all. He's obviously very happy. He loves doing what he's doing. But I
oh
was like,
yeah,
there are people in Ireland going. He's the first pro, the first male pro, and he placed 7th and 10th in pro shows. In
it's unreal. Yeah, unreal.
when Jessica Kavanagh, she came 2nd in her first show. I mean, fair play to her and everything, but
She's grafted as well, man.
fair play.
The
Like,
amount of shows she's lost as well. It's
yeah,
just showing up again and again and again, and eventually,
yeah.
it comes to you.
I think it's even harder in a sense. Like, I can't imagine doing a class like bikini or classic physique, which are so unbelievably stacked. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
like, like I mean, we've been very lucky in that our classes we kind of have a rough idea. Like, even at the PCA finals, man, there was only eight. I think there was 9 of us. Yeah, there was 9 of us. So I was like, the finals only had 9 competitors. So I guess it's a good thing that only 9 competitors were there because they were red hot. Um,
yeah,
well, the guy like, and I was just like, there's that end of it, but then the other end of it was like, um, there wasn't as much comparisons. I was kind of like, I got into the first call out, got pushed back into the second one. I was like, if there was like more competitors, it would have been a bit more fun. But
yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah,
then if you're a professional and you turn pro in one of those classes, like Junior Classic, like I'd be like, it's a tough one. I mean, you have to be so good to actually perform in those. It's crazy.
yeah.
I mean,
You can literally like you see pros going out into shows like, and they get looked at for 10, 15 seconds, and then they be put to the back again,
yeah,
and that's it. You've prepped 4 months to have 15 seconds of being looked at.
I
It's
know.
it is. It's the game we're in. Like
It is. But like, and what I think is good though, with these new pro qualifiers and stuff, I think it really does weed out. Like, I mean, like you're gonna get pros, of course, but I mean, the good pros are still gonna win the shows. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's like the people who are winning are still going to win. It's just becoming there's going to be more third and fourth call outs. You know what I mean?
yeah,
More people in the show. It doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win.
yeah,
So,
true, yeah.
like getting that pro card 2 years early could be a bad thing. I mean, you wouldn't be ready. I mean,
Yeah, like I actually hear of people turning down their pro cards.
yeah,
Like do you remember the guy who won his pro card at muscle contest? Was it last year or the year before? The big bald guy, the
yeah.
foreign fella. Do you remember him? No.
No, I do.
He
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
he he had he had won his pro card a couple of times before that, and he didn't
Yeah,
take it. He
he was.
won the Europeans overall in
Yeah,
2015, I think.
yeah,
And like being smart, he was like, "I'm not ready to be a pro. I'm not ready to compete with the big guys."
yeah,
And then he left it, and now he is competing at the Olympia because he was patient like that.
yeah. Was it your man who won last year or the year before? There was only two shows, so.
It was last year. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
it was
yeah,
last year.
yeah. No, no, you can tell looking at him though. Like he was ready. He was ready.
Oh,
Like he had that physique where he was like, uh, and he was 94 kilos on stage at like five
yeah,
foot three. So you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like that was like just dense.
it's
But
crazy.
and then the guy who came second in the pro show was the guy who won it the year before. So I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a weird one. I mean, Ian McGarry was in that final call out. The other guys
yeah,
were, I think it was one Spanish, one Israeli. But even at that, like me and Ian had this discussion, and he was like, "I just want to win a national title," because he knows. He said it was great to compare with the pro, but he knew he wasn't going to win it. Like, I mean, when you're at that level, it's like getting to compare is. I would be delighted to compare to somebody just to see what it's like. Like, I wouldn't
yeah,
even. But I mean, like with your goals, like you're done at junior, you're taking a few years off, and
yeah.
you're just gonna come back and do NABBA, do the RBBF, or just
Look, oh yeah, like I'm not going. Like I'm not one of these who's going to go for one of these pro qualifiers. Not a chance. I'm not delusional. I know I'm nowhere near good enough, and I won't be for years and years and years. Do you get me? So, yeah, I'll probably come back and do a nationals, jump in the open class and see how it plays out.
you
It's
know.
going to be a few years though. I need to put the size on.
I was gonna say, if you want to do in 2021 with me, that would be good crack. Like if we,
I reckon it'll be 2022, man. Honestly,
uh,
I need to grow. I really do.
yeah. See, I
Think
like
of it.
you're 6'2".
Yeah, exactly.
You're like it's not like my like you like I have friends. You know my friend Anthony Donahue. Like he's a big bodybuilding fan. He like
Yeah,
comes with me to every show. He's a good friend. Like he says he messages like a few of the guys, including yourself. And I remember he was telling me like, "Oh, Mark's a big boy, isn't he?" Yeah, no, he's a big cunt. But then I realized like, how much do you weigh? You're like 110,
on,
120 in
on
between.
stage I was 100. At the moment I'm about 121.
Yeah, and I'm like, like 121 is how big an open class bodybuilder would be on stage.
On stage,
So
exactly.
it's like it's really proportionate. I mean, the
Yeah,
only I can think of your height who's a pro would be like you have Morgan Ast. I mean, I know he's around 6'4". Um,
yeah.
you have Jamie Johal. He's a big boy.
He's
Uh,
6'6".
yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw him in
But
person. I saw him in
yeah,
season mode. I saw him at the PCA finals, and I was just looking at him. Didn't go up to him. I was just looking at him like I've never seen anything like that. Like maybe Darius here would be the closest thing, but like just that mass and height. So I'm like, when you fill out that frame a little bit more,
yeah,
people can't deny it. I mean, like a big guy will always look a big guy will always get picked over a short guy if they're both neck and neck. I mean,
Definitely, yeah.
yeah,
But yeah, you're right there. But like you said, it does take a lot longer. So it's just patience.
yeah,
It's just kind of consistent, doing the same thing year after year, and just waiting, man, just working and just kind of working your way up the ranks and seeing what happens.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, look, you can't tell who's going to come into shows and who's going to compete against you. I mean, you'll know through your circle of friends and stuff, but I mean, even when I did the Ireland, oh God, I didn't even know. I only knew Billy Byrne was doing it. That was
Yeah,
it. I mean, and then like I, that was it. The other guys, I know, Davy Keogh is a regular at the shows, and I know Paul Hannigan's is a good competitor too. He's one of
yeah.
the good guys. And then fuck, I can't even remember who came. That was it. There was only four of us. But then I mean, in the whole show, I mean, like there was only like 4 to 5 people in each class anyway. I mean, I think it's always going to be the same kind of guys. Like you're always going to have a good idea of who's there and who's not.
Yeah,
In the NABBA and the RBBF, it's always the same kind of crew. So
yeah. Especially nowadays, man. Like you said, there's not much quantity there.
no.
It is just the same people. So
But the good thing is, I mean, like with the juniors, the junior bodybuilders do tend to go into the open. I mean, I did it. You're going to be doing it. Christian did it. All the guys who are winning shows they're all juniors. They've all won junior titles.
again, but that goes to show it's the ones who have been consistent over the past
Yeah,
10 years.
100%. I mean, like
Like the likes of Christian, like if you look at like Christian 10 years ago to now, it's
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 night and day, man. Night and
mind blowing. Yeah,
day. And I'm like, I went to school with him, and I used to walk. Like he was 3 years ahead of me, and like he was big. He wasn't like I didn't know what I was looking at because I didn't know what a good bodybuilder was. But I had one friend. It was my exposure to bodybuilding was Christian. There was one guy in my local gym by the name of Aaron Power who competed at 16 years old. Paul Byrne had him ready to go to the Worlds and Universe, and he was going to be on. Like he was being fronted as the face of uh, the future of bodybuilding, and he pulled out. Hasn't competed since.
yeah.
But that was it. That was my exposure. So like I like with yourself, like when you started training, did you start training in a bodybuilding gym, or what was your exposure like to?
Honestly, when I started training, like bodybuilding wise and stuff, I didn't even have social media. There wasn't many bodybuilders in my gym. I didn't follow the sport or anything,
Okay.
but I still wanted to compete. You know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
first kind of there was I think there was the first exposure I had was there was two bodybuilders in my gym. I trained in Bendon,
Yeah.
and one of them was a masters competitor at the time. He was good. He was always peeled out his points. Another one was Stephen Dunn.
Oh shit.
Stephen Dunn. So
Yeah.
Stephen Dunn was, we kind of prepped for my first show together. That's kind of what gave me the push in the end. But the kind of the guys, obviously the first show I was at was NABBA 2015, and I just remember, I don't think he even knows this. I haven't said it to him before, but I just remember saying Christian, and I knew he won the juniors the week before, and I was like, fuck me. So that was kind of my standard, like for conditioning and stuff. I think that's why kind of people noticed me for my conditioning in my first show, because I saw Christian, and in my head, if I wasn't like close to that, I was fat. You know what I mean? I wasn't close to that, but still, that was kind of my
Yeah.
aim, just to be conditioned, because it was just that's what that was kind of my introduction was Christian, the first
Yeah.
person I saw, and he was a junior at the time as well. So
Yeah. I mean, talking about conditioning in juniors, like I always find the top guys they'll always be in conditioning generally. I mean, you were, as I said, like for listeners who don't realize, like the guy who bet us, Connor. I'm not sure even like when Colin did PCA Galway. I was talking to him for months up towards that show. And I remember he was like, "Oh, we'll go train and get some food." He didn't tell me he was competing. Just did it.
Yeah,
And then he
yeah,
ended
man.
up he ended up
I've a
winning
lot,
the IFBF. So
yeah, I've a lot of respect for Colin. I remember standing backstage at NABBA, and I was feeling confident. I was feeling good. I was like, right, let's go. And then he stripped off,
yeah.
and I just went. I think I looked at you, and I was like, game over. I was like,
Fuck.
I was like, I may as well go home.
I
He
was like,
was,
"Oh, for fuck's sake." I was like, "Oh, okay, he bought it." But that's the thing though. I mean, like I had literally no ill will losing in that situation because I was like I was conditioning. Conditioning's my dark horse. It's like I have an issue with there's a few things. It's when we competed, that was my best conditioning on my own. I didn't really fuck it up for IBBF. I thought I was pretty close. Um Obviously Giovanni leapfrogged over to both of us and uh,
yeah,
won that, which was a shocker. But like again, I can see why looking back.
he made
Um,
a lot of progress. A big jump in what, a week or two,
oh fuck, like
night and
he's
day.
responsive. Like like
It
I
was
trained
crazy.
with him. I trained with him every week. For the first prep and part of the no, I probably trained with him for the majority of the preps in 2019. He was in his off season, and he's just so responsive to what he does. Um,
Yeah,
and Shane has kind of found he's working with Shane Cullen, and Shane had
yeah.
said to me, I asked him, is it hard to train genetic guys like that who obviously are so responsive?
Oh, I actually watched the podcast. I was listening to it. Yeah,
And what he said was, you have to be ready for the fact that you're going to have to hold them in position. It's like they get ready so fast early. You have to get them in that position. Whereas with myself and yourself, I'm sure it's more of a case with it's like you want to be ready 2 weeks early or something and just hold it. But
yeah,
with those guys, it's like they're going to be ready a lot faster. I'd say it's a mental game for them anyway.
yeah.
But yourself coming in condition, um, you always bought it. I don't think I've seen you off. Now, when you competed, like you've done uh the two shows with me, you did the ones you've competed abroad multiple times. So what
So
was
I've done Spring Classic 2016,
this?
NABBA 2017, and RIBBF 2017.
No?
Then I went to Europeans in 2018. Then what was it? Jesus, what else did I do?
Was it the Arnolds? Did you do the Arnold?
I went to Europeans, and then I done Bodypower
Oh,
um in 2018 as well. And then I done the Arnolds and Nationals then last year.
yeah, yeah. So
I
competing,
I came in the two shows I came in completely off were NABBA 2017
yeah.
and Arnold's.
Okay.
Makes me sick looking back.
Why did you think you were off? I mean, like, were you off in your mind, or were you?
I just yeah, I know the standard I can kind of like see what I looked like at Nationals. I should have looked like at the Arnolds.
Okay, I get
You
you.
know what I mean? In my head, like I know what I want to look like and what I need to look like, and yeah, kind of when I fall short of that, I just know I knew walking into both of them shows, like I was like I didn't
Yeah,
even want to get on stage. You know, I just
you're,
knew that.
yeah. I mean, you're a bigger person, so I mean, I'd imagine like for the all like we'll talk about training and nutrition and all that for a bit. So you're a bigger person, so obviously the food you eat, like I looked at your mark. I remember you told me it's like it's not far off what I would be pushing when I push it. But do you find it's more the training that's done the work, like as opposed to like enough calories to grow, and then just forcing yourself to grow with the training, as opposed to consuming just junk? You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
yeah,
Like both, like people say it's all food. People like it's both. You know what I mean? You can eat. as much as you want. You can have your diet spot on, but unless you are actually going into the gym, like saying to yourself, like, I need to improve here. I need to get better. Like, if you don't go in with that mindset, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you're eating.
Yeah.
So if you go in and spin your wheels and go through the motions, you're only going to get so far.
Yeah.
You know, and you see the people who do go in and treat kind of every session as if it's their last, it shows. So like, kind of the first person that would come to my mind is Conor McGee. When you think of something, when you think of like someone that goes in and gives everything, you know what I mean, and it does show.
Yeah.
So it's just training.
He's a big boy, like, and I knew him back when he wasn't. So I was like, for him to grow from his old physique to his new physique, a lot of time, a lot of food, a lot of hours. I mean,
time, food, and training. Like there's food and training. It comes in hand in hand. I think people get so caught up nowadays in different training styles and different methods and different splits.
Yeah.
That they don't realize that unless you're training hard, none of it matters.
Yeah. I mean, I had Ross Byrne on earlier on the podcast, and he's
I listened to it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what I found very interesting, like, I came out of that. Okay, I went into it like, I understand where he was coming from 100%. Would I train like that? I do take aspects of it. I mean, I do certain things similar, but I do think everyone's so different. But there's a fine line, like in my head. There's such, you can easily mistake, like you could think like one way of training is best for you because you enjoy it and find it easy.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases, it's the shitty training that, not that you dread, but it's not easy. That's the kind of training that will force a response. I mean, I could do, like, I mean, at least on my end anyway, I mean, I used to do high volume. I'd be in the gym for, fuck, 2.5 hours easily. And like, I'd come out of it and I'd be like, I don't feel like I did it for 2.5 hours. And I cut it in half, incorporated stuff that Ross does, incorporated stuff that Christian does, and then added my own bits. And I was like, okay, this works. But do you think, like, a lot of guys coming up, they'd have a misconception about, you need to try different forms of training? I mean,
I think Ross doesn't have his own kind of form. I think people kind of see bands and stuff and they think, oh, he trains a certain way, but like, I think what he does is he just picks exercises that he knows works for him.
Yeah.
And then he takes them all the way.
Yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean? So it's not, I'm kind of like, I'd be smart in my training as well, as in I know exactly what works for me. You know what I mean? I know, like, if I do a certain exercise, I know I'm not going to feel it, or so, like, all my training is structured around exercises that I've learned hit a spot just right. You know what I mean? There's no point in doing exercises that kind of don't suit your mechanics or the way you're built.
Yeah.
And everyone's mechanics are different, so every exercise is going to feel different for different people.
Like, I mean, one of the things I was so stubborn about for years, I got a pair of knee wraps when I was 20, used them twice, put them away, and then as my strength progressively went up, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to using some knee wraps and see if it helps with the knee pain when I'm squatting, because I know my form and stuff for squatting is okay. And then, you know what? Took the pain off the patella and everything. I was like, why the fuck was I so stubborn? Because it's like, it took me 5 years to finally use them. And I could have, like, do you feel like you're very much finding what works for you? Do you think, because you're on your own, you're doing your own thing, you find it's would it take a little bit longer for you, like in that instance, to find what works? I mean, like, it took me 5 years for that, but like, obviously with yourself, would it be
like, it did. Obviously, like, what I done kind of up until this point, it all has worked, but then I just kind of take bits along the way and be like, right, this doesn't feel good anymore. That needs to go. You know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily hasn't taken long to kind of find out what works, because things do work, and sometimes like after a while they don't, and you just bring something else in. You know what I mean? But like going back to like what you said about your knees, like would you not look at why your knees were hurting in the first place?
Yeah, I did.
Get me?
I know why. I know why now. And it was, I used to get deep tissue work pretty regularly, and I have I had knee injury when I was 17. Like I tore a few things in my knee. Ironically, when my strength and when everything's at full blast and everything's going well, I tend to have no pain when all the training is even. So if I'm not training my hamstrings overly, or like if I'm training everything in equality, getting
Yeah,
there's no pain. I find when I'm neglecting a body part, that's when the overcompensation comes in.
yeah,
Like like I would know, at least on my end, if I was training somebody now, I would look at their body mechanics and I would at least see what their movement patterns are like and just the basics, and ask them how did I feel. But coming up, I didn't have any of that. I mean, it was literally, it took me years to
yeah. I,
realize
I
what.
think one of the things that I would have, like, I've learned a lot so far,
Yeah,
kind of by doing things myself. But one of the things that if I was to kind of go back, or if I was to advise anyone younger now, would be to invest in a coach on the way.
yeah,
Because I wish I'd done it earlier, because it just saves so much wasted time.
yeah. You've done it yourself, but have you taken the input from other guys? Like, would you
Um,
like take
I've
it?
actually I've been I was working with Jordan Peters before,
Oh, okay, good.
for about 6 months,
Yeah.
and then I was coached for Europeans 2017
Okay.
by JJ Dunn.
Oh, deadly.
Um,
Yeah,
but everything else I've done myself. I have a
yeah.
coach now, but which I just started with, but everything else was myself up until this point.
Okay, who are you working with now?
I'm with Patrick Tour.
Oh, deadly. So you and Christian have the same coach. Savage.
Yeah,
Patrick creates
yeah,
a very, very like. I looked at Christian and I remember he told me, and I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense." And I was like, he was like, "Why?" It's like the look you have. It's very like full and tight. I mean,
yeah,
he doesn't get his athletes out of shape. So whatever he's doing,
yeah.
it's definitely the training though. It's like it's so
Oh
unique.
man, the
So unique.
training is like, obviously I'm a low volume person,
Yeah, yeah. You're like
and
me.
it's completely different to training. I've never trained like this before in my life.
Yeah. Like
Completely turning on its head.
walk through, like let's say we're doing chest. What would it kind of be for chest? Like just a rough idea for the listeners.
Like, so at the moment, like for chest, like I normally hit chest, like I do 4 working sets twice a
Bear with us, guys. Mark just seems to be out of connection there for 1 second. I'll just pause the recording until he comes back on.
Jesus, man.
No, you're grand.
I'm back. I'm back.
I just paused it anyway, so
Oh,
it's
grand,
all
perfect.
good. It's all good. Yeah, no. So the training, like, it's obviously like from what I've been told, the way he trains people, it's kind of like a lot of time under tempo and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of like, so he makes it very intense. So that's his main thing. He wants to train as intense as possible.
Okay.
So like he wants, just because he has more sets and kind of strict rest times and rest pause sets, etc. Like he
Yeah.
still wants a heavy.
Yeah.
So it's different. Like it's taxing. The past few weeks have been taxing so far. But I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how the body responds to it. And
I
um,
understand.
yeah, I'm open to learn. You know what I mean? So I went to him because I wanted to learn. I wanted a new approach. I wanted
Yeah.
someone to take the reins. Like you said, his athletes have a completely different look. It's very unique. And I said, go for it. I actually said to Christian, I was training Christian a few months ago, and I said, I told him I was going to go with Patrick, and Christian actually knew Patrick from years back as well.
Yeah.
So that's how he said as well. He was like, I was thinking the same thing. He was like, he's great. So I think, like you said, he has that unique look to his clients.
Yeah.
So yeah, look, I'm excited. I'm excited. It feels good to kind of have someone taking the reins, so I can just focus on my clients now, and I don't have to worry about myself at all.
I mean, the worst thing I did, well, like, I mean, like, my experience with being coached is a weird one. It's like, Christian helped me for my first year. Did my second outing as a junior myself. And then I did the first open class in that off season with Christian as well. And then I eventually went to Tommy for the last little bit. And then I'm kind of doing my own thing now, but I'm training with Niall Kinsella and basically using him as a second eye. So I just run everything at him. And
Yeah,
like he would do a few things I wouldn't do training wise. Like we wouldn't train exactly the same, but it's intense enough. But the diet is very nice and basic. Like I do my own off season stuff. I just run it through.
yeah,
But like I found I mean my experience with Christian was great. But like he would be the first one to tell me and to tell you, and we'd agree on this. Like it was a friend helping a friend because he wasn't a full-time coach. He had a family, a baby, and a full-time job. It was like he did the best he could, but it was a weird one. And then personal life getting in the way as well on my end. Everything needs to be going well for that coach client relationship to work. I think it's like the coach needs to be a fully invested coach. I think it needs to be their job for them to be able to do it properly. So I think when me and Christian did as well as we did the first show around, it was great. But then on my end, I know I could have done better. So I think like there is the responsibility of a client to give all the feedback. I mean, like if you're not
yeah,
telling the coach how you're feeling, what you're, I will always ask somebody, why are you doing this? Um, just for curiosity's sake. Because if a coach can't explain why they're telling you to do certain things, it's not a good thing. You'd know that from first-hand experience being a coach. I'm sure.
yeah. Oh yeah, I always say to clients, like I actually love people ask, like, why are we doing this? Like, if I change something, why did you do that?
Yeah,
Like, I want to teach people kind of my methods on what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and not just to kind of give them the plan and just say do that. I want them to kind of, I explain things, but then I say if they've any more questions about anything that we're changing, anything that we're doing, I want them to ask, because I want them to learn along the way as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like I prepped two men's physique guys. Um, in 20, I think it was like 2018 and 2019. There was two different bouts. One actually did NABBA with myself. But the problem was with them, neither of them were giving me the feedback at all. So I remember, like, as a coach, it was trying to get like water out of a stone. I'd be on their backs, just trying to get the necessary information, and then it turned out neither of them. I think it gets to the point. Look, a client will work absolutely, but I think it's different when dealing with somebody who's competing, because if they don't really want to be in shape, I mean, it's as basic as if you don't want to suffer, you're not going to be ready.
Yeah, you have to want it.
And it has to
Again,
be.
every you have to realize as well that everyone's different, and not everyone would have the same drive as you maybe, or the same discipline. So like, it's not just if somebody doesn't have that same drive or same like kind of robot mode they can go into, as a coach, it's not our job to kind of criticize that. It's to work around. It's to work around them and to kind of see what's going to work for them.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Rather than criticize what they're doing.
Yeah.
You get
No,
me?
you're bang on. You're bang on. I'd say the line for me, like I would like going ahead. I learned from this anyway. When I say going ahead, my only, I only have a few criteria for people who want to compete with myself, and it's literally the basic stuff. It's like, do I tell them it's gonna get hard, it's gonna get difficult. You're going to have to accept that it's your choice to do it. There's no shame in dropping out. If you want to drop out, but just tell them. That's all I tell them. Because I think what happened in the past was these two guys, like one of them is a lovely lad. I've known him years. The other guy was a gym, just a regular guy in the gym, and he wanted to do it for the social media side of it more so. Looking back on it. And I gave him a fairly basic diet, did it to his body, the whole BMI thing. I did a few variations on it. It was great. It went well up until about halfway. And then I realized as a competitor, I remember telling him, geez, it was like 12 weeks out from the October shows that I just wanted to do the rest myself. Could have been earlier, but because I told him, we're still really good friends.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a client has to be able to tell the coach if they don't really have to fire or they have issues with what you're telling them, just tell them and you can work around it or you can let them go depending on if it's worth their while to. It has to be a mutually beneficial agreement because it is such a taxing thing to prep. It's like
I mean,
taxing.
you have to be. There has to be honesty. You have to be honest with each other, and as well, like sometimes a coach and a client just may not be the right fit. Like, so you can't take it personal if a client leaves you. Or sometimes if you're a coach, like you have to tell clients that, like, it's just not working. You know what I mean? They could be better off going with somebody else just because you don't click on that level. So yeah, man, like sometimes that, like when someone leaves as well, it's not because you're a bad coach or anything. Sometimes they just need somebody else. They just need a new approach, or they just feel that their time with you has just kind of come to an end. They need to move on.
Yeah, I mean, with Jordan, when you left Jordan, like, I mean, one of the things I've heard is he's just so busy. I mean, was that the reason on your end? It was just he's just such a busy guy. I mean, he obviously needs.
I just kind of felt like I got what I could. I learned, you know what I mean? I learned what I could from him. I just felt like at that time, it just felt right just to move on. I was going through kind of a time in my life where I just kind of wanted to focus on. I just didn't want to answer to anyone as well. I just wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
So like that was nothing on his part. I just kind of I just felt going forward, it just wasn't right one for me. Do you get me?
Yeah, I get you, man. I get you. I mean, I think the problem with high-profile coaches, though, is they can be phenomenal coaches, but you're always like, they're always going to be biased towards their best athletes in terms of timing, and who gets attention. And I think you have to kind of prove it in your own way that you're worth their time as well, even if you are paying them.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I
like when it
think,
comes to
yeah, I just think it's timing. I think if you're an online coach and you have a ton of clients and like you have a mix of high profile, low profile, it can be very hard to balance it. That's really it.
yeah.
I mean,
Um,
you
like
do
when
it.
it comes to like having a coach, like on that aspect, like when I was working with him and stuff, I don't need someone to like babysit me or be personal with me. I just want, just tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah.
You get me? Like, so there are clients that will need that time, and they will need a lot more attention than others. But personally, like, I just want, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. And I'll come back in next week and I'll check in, and I've done everything.
Yeah.
You get me? I won't talk to you from one end of the week to the next. I just want to be told what to do.
Yeah. I mean, like, my problem is I don't like being told what to do, and then I don't listen when the advice is right. So,
Yeah.
so yeah.
That's called not. You're not. That's called not being coachable.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's you.
I remember like Christian and me laugh about this, but I remember when I was 18 years old, the diet was basically broccoli and cod 5 times a day with some eggs. But I was cheating on it with Aero bars and brown bread and jam. And I still got
And I'd say Christian wanted to fucking kill you. Like,
but the thing was, like, it was a weird prep, because it was like I was getting help with somebody else. It didn't go well. Then I kind of just I gung-hoed it, man. I was doing 3 hours of cardio a day. Didn't know what I was doing at 18 years old, and still came forth. So I was like, I'll take it. But then I found out the hard way, for sure, this last year anyway, was I'm very coachable at the very end. Like, that's when I need it, because I know what to do to get the 5 weeks out. Because every time of 5 weeks out, I get there and then I stall. So it's like I need somebody at that last little push to get me over. Because
yeah.
I mean that like, I mean, with yourself, I mean, would you find you have a sticking point, or do you kind of know?
The only problem I have coming into the show is, that happens most times, to be honest. I come into the show, I get to like 2 weeks out, everything's perfect, and then I just do stupid shit.
Okay.
Like, I'm like, I'd be ready, I'd be good to
Yeah.
go, and I'd be like, right, I need to like cut my calories in half, I need to double my cardio to get that bit leaner.
Yeah.
And because I think I need to be told to pull back.
Yeah.
I just think more and more and more, like, I have to keep doing more. I have to
Yeah.
keep pushing. I have to dig myself into a hole.
Yeah.
And I just need someone to, I think, like, I won't coach myself again.
Okay. Interesting.
Not a chance.
As a bigger
Well,
person, no, as a bigger person, I mean, I would only assume, like, for if I was your height, I would say maintaining fullness would probably be the main issue. I mean, with the frame and stuff like that, especially when you're lean and the
that comes back to hold myself back at the end as well. Because if I can't hold myself back, I'm always going to be flat and on stage. Do you get me?
I get you, man. Yeah, I mean, I have the opposite thing. I can be flat and look full. So I'm like, when I try to fill up, I'm very carb sensitive. I love carbs. I love it. But I don't think people realize, like, I mean, when you're doing enhanced bodybuilding, you don't necessarily, you're not going to lose tissue. That's what those supplements are for, holding tissue. So I found out anyway, doing it myself, was when I went to the extremes of the diet, it worked very well. But when I tried to introduce some carbs to carb up, that's when I over pushed the marks.
Yeah.
I didn't carb up for the last show, and that was the best show. So, I always found it was the few days or the last week, especially if you're not in top condition, there's no need to carb up, because you're just gonna spill.
Yeah.
It's fat. I mean, at least you're in that position where you're lean enough that even if you do push it with the heavy carbs, or try to fill out a lot and you spill a little bit, it's only going to be water. I mean, that can be fixed, like, as opposed to body fat. So
Yeah.
that's just my take. I mean, be ready
Yeah.
early. Just be ready.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
But going on the other end, with your off season,
Yeah.
with the nutrition aspect, would you base a lot of what you do off what Jordan had you doing, or would Patrick be
To be
doing,
honest,
or yeah.
when I went with Jordan, what it kind of done for me, it kind of reassured me of what I was doing already. Do you get me?
Yeah.
I kind of was using that approach already, kind of his approach, and it just kind of reassured me that what I was doing kind of would be what he was doing.
Yeah.
Patrick's a bit different. Um, it's still very basic, but it's a lot of whole, clean food. No shakes or anything. It's just a lot of meat, a lot of rice, a lot of potatoes. Um, very specific timings, etc. But again, it's just different methods, man. I like learning
Yeah.
from different people.
Yeah.
It's always been a student, I suppose.
Yeah, of course. I mean, especially with someone like Patrick, where he's going to be so on top of like blood sugar readings and glucometers and all that, like
Yeah.
all that stuff. I mean, I wouldn't have much experience. I'd go by instinct with my blood sugars anyway, going by feel and stuff. But like, I mean, it could be very interesting working with somebody that on the ball, um, and especially being where you are working as a trainer and stuff. Have you found it's been easier to bodybuild, working in the gyms and stuff, or
Um,
has it been?
yeah, you can kind of work your own training times. You know what I mean? You have your set training times. You have your clients in the morning, and then you have your kind of break in the afternoon. That's when I go and train. I don't like training where I work, so I actually train somewhere else just because otherwise you'll be in there for 16 hours a day. Like you've no break so it's nice to get out of there and go train somewhere else. But yeah, train in the gym and it makes it very easy. You know what I mean? Kind of working things around your meal timings and yeah, it does. I find it makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, deadly man. No, because like I mean that's the main thing. I'll be hopping straight into it. I mean I've nothing to lose now at this point. I mean I'm not working, so I'm actually thinking of like I had Matt Blaze. Said he was gonna get me into talks with the guys who own FBT and see if I can start working in one of those. I don't mind
Yeah,
driving. I don't mind driving to a good facility. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I'll never I'll never do like half measures in that end. But no, I think for listeners anyway, I mean like look, the other end of it, like I mean, like not a lot of us are like look, you're gonna be getting people in positions where they have set meal times and set stuff like that. And like I mean, I'm sure at the end of the day, for the average person getting into food, like as long as it's eaten, just eat it.
Yeah.
I mean, just make sure it's eaten at the end of the day. And I would even go by weekly. Like, I mean, if you get a good week, because I mean, when you get like a good few days, but then you have a few bad days, I mean, just make sure you get each week. That's the
Man,
main.
I just say one day at a time.
Yeah.
I always say it. Literally, man, just people shouldn't focus on kind of like what's going to happen next week or next month, or you know, just focus on what you can do today, which is going to make you better for tomorrow. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
going to make you 1% better. You know what I mean? So, what can you do today? You can eat all your meals. You can train. You can get your sleep in. You can get your water in. No, I mean simple things, man. Well, it's not like for most people, it's not so simple. But when you break it down, like to do that, to have that list and just do it today, and
Yeah.
then tomorrow you wake up and then just do that list again.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely bang on. I mean, because I mean, I remember when I started out. Oh God, it wasn't the. I was doing a body. I remember looking back on it. I got a diet from a Flex magazine, and I did it. I did it like religiously when I was 16 to 17, and then I realized I wasn't gaining weight because it was a cutting diet, and I was doing that for 4 months. So it was like really lean food, but I was sticking to it. But the main thing
Yeah,
is telling people it's like taking a diet, especially with the lockdown. Like, I mean, we can't say what's happening next week because we don't
yeah.
know. So, I mean, um, I've been asked how to train during this lockdown, and I tell people I'm not, but that's just myself. Like, I'd go for 2 walks, I would do pull ups, I have bands coming. They're shipping out, so I can train. But it's day by day. I mean, like, would you have any advice for people? Just reduce food, maybe. That'd be my main thing. Just reduce food so you don't get sloppy.
At the moment, man, yeah, it depends. Like, I would reduce food slightly, through carbs maybe if you can't train to the intensity you have been.
Yeah,
Obviously because you're not going to need that energy because you're not going to be utilizing it. So maybe obviously people are well into lockdown at this stage, so they kind of know what their body is doing. So kind of just even keep food the same for a few days and kind of see how it reacts to your weight goes, and then make manipulations from there rather than panicking and just kind of being like, oh, I'm not training, let's just eat less. You get me? Because at the same time, you're still trying to maintain muscle.
yeah,
So if you just slash your calories like and not training, you know, like it's not going to be good either. So it's just not making any rash decisions and just kind of monitoring your weight and your composition as the days go, and then
yeah.
making little decisions based on that rather than just making big, huge, just rash decisions.
No, you're bang on. You're bang on. Especially, I mean, unless you're like a genetic anomaly who just holds weight like from doing nothing. Of course, you're gonna have to do
Yeah.
the bare minimum of making sure there's enough food in the system and stuff like that. Um, I've dropped about 6 kilos, but I'm like, it's 6 kilos. It's not 10.
Yeah.
So, it's a small price, and you know what? Like, look, everyone's gonna be hungry after this. Everyone's gonna want to train. Everyone's gonna be take advantage of the fact that we're gonna be able to live a somewhat normal life as opposed to this. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a blessing in itself, man. I mean, going out for food and stuff, and McDonald's probably on my end anyway. That's my main thing that I'm sad about. But everything else is fine. But I mean, like, would you with the like, yeah, I mean, that's the main thing. I mean, just don't watch the news. I've been telling people don't watch the news
Oh
every day. I mean, don't do that. Don't.
man,
So
I've no idea what's happened. I don't know how many people are sick. I've no idea. I
yeah,
don't care. I really don't care, man. I'm just focusing on myself, what I can do each day to get better, like business wise,
yeah,
obviously training wise. Just focus on like little things and using this time to kind of do things that I may not have had time to do before this. You
yeah,
know, so it's a couple of things that I've wanted to do in regards to kind of improve my business and stuff that I just haven't had the time because I've been with clients and stuff. So now I do have that time
yeah,
free to work on that now. I kind of set myself up for when we do get back into business. Do you get me? So
yeah. No,
doing
for
little things like that.
I think even with myself, I've been taking inspiration from the guys who are working in the fitness biz. And look, obviously I've said, look, there's two things I can do. I can put out content, and I can eventually make a website for the content. With, like, will it tie into me working as a trainer? Probably not. It's a passion project, and at the end of the day, I was like, you remember the Irish Muscle videos, and it was like they would interview the top three people at every single show, and they would have like a backdrop, and I want to do that at the next batch of shows for people. So I'm
And
like, that would be a
that's
deadly.
what Irish bodybuilding is missing.
Yeah, I think it's like
100%.
people don't have that. There's a lot of bitching. I don't do it anymore, but I remember there was so much enmity between different gyms, and I don't get it. I'm like, look, a gym's a gym. Bodybuilding's bodybuilding. Why can't we all just get
Yeah.
together? And I'm not saying be a big happy family, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Like when you look at the likes of the UK, man, it's way more competitive than over here, and everyone is friends. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Everyone gets on, everyone trains together. It's, you know what I mean? They want each other to progress out of the country forward. You know what I mean? Rather than trying to drag each other down. I
I mean,
find,
no, I
go on,
agree with you, man. Yeah,
yeah, I think like over here there is a lot of bitchiness. Like I said, I try not focus on that. I try just kind of focus on myself. But and you see, like I think over here people are even afraid of like putting out content or expressing themselves because of what people will say, what people will think. Like I know personally, I know a good few people who are very knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than most people, man, in this industry. And honestly, the only thing holding them back is fear of putting themselves out there, thinking they're not good enough, thinking what people are going to think. And there's going to be people listening to this as well. Maybe that, and they're gonna think the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Maybe that's about me, because there's so many people, man. Like, um, you know yourself. Like, there's no people are just scared to put stuff out there when in reality all they're doing is holding themselves back because
Yeah.
they could be getting, like, think if they were in the UK, like, and putting themselves out there, and like they could be pushing themselves so far business wise.
100%. 100%. I mean, on my end of it, I remember in 2017, I put out a video and it was the top 5 Irish bodybuilders in the country at the time. I got so much funny backlash from that. Like, I got so much keyboard hate and so much people, like people I know and you know on a first-hand basis. Not well, but like,
Yeah,
I remember there was some pros as well, like, and I remember I'll say Claire McGrath was like, I remember she had a huge go at me over this. And the reason being was because I didn't name her as a top men's pro because she's not a man and she's not a bodybuilder. It was specifically open class bodybuilding or classic. Didn't make a women's list because I don't have knowledge about it. So she was laying into me, and I remember like her whole thing was, "Who the fuck is this guy? Why are people watching his stuff?" And then I remember Brian or someone said something, and it was like, "Look, Owen, think about it this way: the fact that she's getting riled up, and the fact that people are talking about it, it's still my most watched video. So, like, you're gonna get the negative stuff with the
yeah,
positive stuff. Block the negative stuff because I've never got one negative thing in person. I remember when we
yeah,
were competing, I was waiting for people to come up. The only people who came up were like people who liked it, and I was like, deadly. Now it's my
yeah,
own fault that I stopped pushing it out, just because
yeah.
didn't have, I did at the time. I just didn't feel it was the right time. But
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah,
I mean,
personally, like, I kind of stopped putting out videos on YouTube as well.
you were doing
I will eventually get back into that. But yeah, man, like you said, like there are people who kind of would want to do that themselves, but they're just afraid of what people will think. And
yeah,
like, so like what happens in 10 years time when like you're sitting there and you look back and like you're like, people didn't care in the first place. You know
yeah.
what I mean? So why didn't I go and fucking do something that I wanted to do just because of
Yeah.
what other people were thinking? It
I
just doesn't
don't.
make sense, man.
I think as well. It's not even like social media is a great tool, but I mean the only way that you're going to prove yourself worthwhile as like to a company is by showing your ability to produce content. Because bodybuilders are lazy in the fact that a lot of them are. They just want to train and be paid to train and paid to eat, sleep, and train. Where the reality is, if you look at guys in the UK like Luke Sando, Hollingshead, Jamie DeRago, um, even like well, all of them to be even Kuba, AJ
Yeah,
Morris, whoever else, they're pushing out
yeah.
so much content. That
Valuable content as well.
it's so like they're getting sponsored and stuff, and the only people like nobody in Ireland is really a paid athlete. I mean, like nobody. Maybe
Yeah,
I know Kevin Byrne gets a little bit, and I know like Mokhtar probably gets a little bit, but they're mainly self-employed. But I mean, do you think it's just because? But like, look, people in Ireland, like bodybuilding is 10 years behind. I would say in 10 years we'll have that, but at the moment,
yeah.
companies aren't looking at us as a viable, you
No,
know, scene at
uh,
all.
we're way behind.
Yeah,
Way behind, man. We're 10 years behind the UK. And you can only say it so much, man. You know what I mean? But people ain't gonna change.
no,
So it's just keep doing, like, whatever you want to do, just keep doing it, keep doing your own thing. And if people don't want to kind of change, man, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You can't change people. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I remember like I remember like the Northern Ireland bodybuilding scene is
Yeah,
actually phenomenal because it
yeah,
was so tied into the UK. You had if you won the NABBA Northern Ireland, you qualified for the Britons and everything. So it was like a whole um ski. It was like the quality you had there. We had pros up there and everything. So,
yeah.
but Ireland has the potential for it. Absolutely, genetically, the gene pool isn't small. I mean, we have the athletes, but do you think guys are just focusing on the wrong like avenues? Maybe like a lot of guys are burning out before they really reach their potential, or like that's my main thing. I just think people don't stick at it.
I'm not too sure, to be honest, man. I'm not really sure why it's not growing, or you know, why there isn't a bigger influx in bodybuilders in comparison to like Northern Ireland and the UK. Um, maybe it's just one of them times, like, you know what I mean, where there's going to be a dip for a couple of years, and then maybe it's going to like grow again. But um, I really don't know. I don't think it will return to as big as it was a few years ago when, like you said, there was 23 in your class and stuff. I think them days are gone,
Oh yeah.
because I think yeah, I think them days are well gone, man. It has kind of faded out a little bit.
There was no classic. There was men's physique was 2 years old. There was no bikini was 2 years old, but there was no like women's physique or anything. There was figure and like so you were forced. All the guys who wanted to do men's physique did bodybuilding because there was nothing else to do.
Yeah,
Whereas
but I
nowadays, like
think,
I think it's growing. It's growing. The whole shows are growing. It's just
yeah, which is good. Yeah, I think there's so many like men's physique and classic and bikini and stuff who are putting themselves out there, content wise and stuff. There's there's no there's no actual bodybuilders putting themselves out there. So how can people relate to them and kind of follow what they do and be fans if they can't follow them? You know what I mean? They're only able to follow like the bikini and the men's physique and stuff.
yeah.
So like there's no bodybuilder over here who actually puts out consistent content of kind of what like kind of their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, see, Blessing
There
does,
isn't.
but Blessing
Yeah,
does
cool.
in the UK, and it's comedy. It's not really
Yeah,
bodybuilding. Bar the
yeah,
stuff he did for Redcon 1, which I love Blessing, I do, but I think he's a genetic freak who's very coachable. So I think he's obviously somebody who listens to what he's told to do. But in terms of himself putting out valuable content like for educational purposes, I don't think he needs to do it because he's a fully paid bodybuilder to
yeah,
bodybuilder. Like, he's not a
yeah,
coach. He's not a coach. So like he doesn't want to train people. He doesn't have clients. So I think he's doing what he's paid to do, which
yeah.
is like just be himself. But I agree 100% because Shane Cullen, like he's been a pro 2 years. He doesn't have a YouTube. He has a YouTube with one video on it, and I'm like, dude, like you have a phenomenal physique. Like
Yeah.
you have what it takes. You're a funny guy. Like
But
I told him just get stoned and record some videos because like it's funny. Like it'd be funny, but he
yeah,
doesn't. And like I'm like, you have guys like Ian McGarry who he did
yeah.
one episode of his podcast and stopped. It was a really
I
good episode though. Like he
I
could have.
think I think what I think kind of what comes into it as well is people say, like, if you say to someone like, why don't you do this? They're like, I just couldn't really be. It's not really me. I'm not really into that. But I
Yeah,
guarantee you, if they were in the UK, they would be into it.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's just they're not into it because nobody else is doing it. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I don't think they want to be the first ones to do it. Maybe they're not into it. Maybe it's just not them. You know, so it's not for some people. But
Get that.
I think if they were in surrounded by it, like in the UK, I think it would be a lot different.
Yeah. I mean, no, at least on my end, no, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I've contacted a good few people for this, and like I to be honest, the only barrier that's really been a barrier has been it's their willingness, really. I mean, it's like it's either busy schedules or like, I mean, I was talking to one person and I remember he said it to me, um, and he just said he just wasn't up to doing it. And he said,
Yeah,
why? I was like, I totally get that. Like,
yeah. Some people, yeah,
not going to force you. But like, I've also had people who've scheduled in and then they just forget about it on the day. I'm like, okay, that's grand because we're in the lockdown. Nothing's going on. Like, there's
yeah, yeah,
nothing scheduled. But I'm only gonna ask people twice, and that'll be it. Like
yeah,
I think I'm very lucky. I've gotten a couple of subscribers every couple of weeks, like every week, and it's been a natural growth. So I think by the time like this time next year, hopefully it'll be like kind of because I was listening to Fuad Abiyad's stuff. I love that. You
yeah,
listen to him, man, and he's doing it the right way. He's the only pro
yeah.
who's interviewing other pros. Well, I mean, you have Dusty Hanshaw and Ron Partlow, but
They're very good as well.
they're very good. I used to listen to Ron for years, and back on his other podcast.
Yeah,
But that's kind of what I think has been lacking. So I'm delighted to have you on. I'm like time is up. It's 8 o'clock, so I'm like, you know
yeah,
what? We filled up the time, and you know,
yeah.
where can people find you for contact for coaching? What's your
Um, my main platform is Instagram. I don't have Facebook or anything, so my Instagram is Mark_Hodson_. So you follow me there. In regards to coach or anything, email me through markhodson@gmail.com, or else just DM me and we can go through email that way. Um, but yeah, man, that's kind of how you contact me. That's the only kind of platform I use at the moment.
deadly man?
But
Deadly man. No, I'll what I'll do anyway. I'll have those in the description below, and I
excellent,
will I'll have the audio up tonight, video up tomorrow. But
lovely.
but anyway, best of luck with your training, your future endeavors. Of course, I'm sure we'll be in touch anyway.
Yeah,
And when this is done, man,
thanks for having me on. Good luck with the podcast, right? Good
you'll
luck.
like the next ones, man. I have and I'll end the podcast here, guys. With again, Mark is available on those like for training inquiries. He's a very knowledgeable guy. Doesn't just train bodybuilders; he trains regular
Oh,
people too. So
yeah,
don't be misconstrued by a lot of bodybuilders do offer multiple services. It's not just the
yeah.
one thing. So yeah, everyone, I hope you like it. I hope you enjoyed the video and the audio. Give it a share, subscribe, and that is us done.